Okay, here we go. So I'm making this announcement in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act being Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 laws of the state of New Jersey. The Planning Board Secretary has prepared a schedule of the meeting for the Planning Board of the Borough of Kenilworth for the year 2025 and has posted a true copy of this schedule on the bulletin board located at the front entrance of Borough Hall, and has mailed true copies of this schedule to the local source, Star Ledger, and is maintaining a copy of the schedule in Borough Hall. Accordingly, the notice of the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied in regards to this meeting. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Paserno?
Here.
Mr. Spree?
Here.
Mr. David?
Here.
Mr. Cantina?
Here.
Mr. Maggio?
Here.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Here.
Mr. DeLuca?
Here.
Mr. Grimaldi?
Here. Is there a motion for the approval of the November 14th and December 12th minutes? Motion made by Mr. DeLuca, second by Mr. David. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Communications, Cap?
No communication, Mr. Chairman.
Seems like we're going to roll right along, hopefully. Application number 22-004, minor subdivision, Block 17, Lot 20. Who do we have?
Natasha Montalvo on behalf of the applicant from the Builders.
Thank you, Natasha. Just 1 second. Do we need to swear in our professionals?
Why don't we swear Kevin and Christian in? Gentlemen, with regard to this application, do swear that the testimony you may give shall be the truth?
I do.
Okay. And Natasha, you said you have Mr. Barchi back from first time?
Yes.
Barchi, okay. You'll still be under oath when you testify. Thank you.
Okay.
Before I start, I have a new exhibit that I would like to distribute.
Okay. We're going to mark that what?
It's A1.
That's A1. That's your first exhibit, right, Natasha?
Yes,
Okay.
the two-page.
And for the record, Natasha, just indicate what it is and who prepared it.
It is a revised grading plan and detail sheet prepared by EK Associates.
And am I correct in saying that our consultants have not yet looked at this?
Probably not in detail. We did
Okay.
send an email earlier today, and it was dropped off to big size for the professional.
Okay.
Plan for the professional.
This is marked Exhibit A.
A1. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Okay.
So the revised plans, the revised grading sheet that's in front of you, is some changes that were made after this January 2nd submission and takes into consideration the harbor review letter that we got last week. The main changes, the retaining wall was redesigned and implemented a terraced wall design to eliminate excessive wall heights. The dry walls were moved to the front of the property. An added scour hole at the end of the swale between the two proposed homes. A street tree was added, and then other minor revisions, like adding the location of the HVAC system in between both units, and adding a concrete slab in the back of the walkout basement. I'll have my engineer go through the whole plan in detail.
Okay. Natasha, I just want to bring up one quick thing.
Yes.
Last time you were here, we explained to you and your professionals that we wanted to try to get everything in at one time. We already have an exhibit now changing the plan that you gave us on whatever date that was, the 2nd. Now we see something now. Most of us didn't have time to take a look at this, but that is that because the engineering firm asked for questions after the plan was in?
Correct. So we submitted the review, the revised plans based on the comments that we had at the hearing. After our submission, Harbor did another review letter with additional comments.
Okay.
So we wanted to submit an exhibit that addresses Harbor's comments the new comments based on the reviews, the revised plan. So we're not saying, okay, we'll comply later, we'll comply later. We wanted to show you what it looks like cooperating with Harper's plan.
As chairman, I'm happy with that. I don't know if the board feels the same way. We usually need a little more time, but given the circumstances, I think we're okay to take a look at that. What do you think, Mr. David?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can at least proceed with the application.
Thank you.
No problem. If no other questions, I'd like to call Joseph Bocci to go over the revised rating plan.
Hey, Joseph Bocci or Balachi? Joe Bocci.
Bocci.
I'm sorry, I'm hearing Valachi for some reason. Oh.
I think last time I was...
Yeah, you're over here.
I think last time we had him up here, right?
Oh, no, he was over.
He was over there? Oh, yeah, he was over there.
Stuck in the corner.
Next time, I said,
Yeah, Natasha, as the secretary said, if you bring a flash drive, I'll just move out of the way, I'll get in better camera shot anyway, and then, we can put you up on the screen.
Noted for next time.
Okay.
Mr. Bocci, just, you qualify at the first meeting back in December as an engineer. I'm assuming your licenses are still good and in effect? And
Yes.
You're still a licensed engineer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're still under oath?
And what we're looking at there is you're going to be working off Exhibit A1, or both?
I was thinking, and Dr. correct me if I'm wrong, I was going to just touch on what we did submit on the second.
Okay.
Just to show you that, and then I'll go to Exhibit A.
Okay.
Whichever you guys prefer.
Or if you just want me to cut to the chase.
No, I think we need to hear you. What you said, Mr. David?
Yeah, we need to hear
We need to hear you, yeah.
everything.
As a matter of fact, if you recall last meeting, we didn't really have adequate topo information on that adjoining wall from the neighbor.
Right.
So I will touch on that real quick. I'll just go to the survey, and that was submitted with the original revised package on the second. So just to quickly touch on it. You can see here on the right-hand side of the plan, we got a ton of spot shots here. It's a unique wall. It's got a lot of steps to it. See the neighboring property. There's a concrete step shown here, and the wall kind of steps down with it. In general, the wall, it varies from only a foot high towards the front of the property, with our property on the low side and the neighboring property on the high side. As you continue down towards the rear, it gets up to about 5 feet high, with us on the low side, neighboring property on the high side, until about 3/4 of the way back, the neighbor's property drops off. And when you come back here, this last about 20, 25 feet, it's actually just about a 5-foot-high freestanding wall. So just to clarify, last time, we had assumed, we were on the low side, we just assumed they were higher. You see a 5-foot wall and figured the reason for that. It's actually freestanding. So we revised our plan kind of based on that fact, and that's why we have our retaining walls kind of up a little bit from the rear of the property, and I'll go into that. But just a little background on kind of how we derived this design. So I'll quickly touch on sheet 3 of 4. Again, this was revised January 2nd. So the exhibit revisions are based off of this one. But just to kind of help you guys through the thought process here. The main changes on this, we did keep the drywalls in the back in this iteration. Kind of the thought being, we added these retaining walls on each property. Kept them separated here, so you can kind of have water flowing through here and not have to deal with, our thought at the time was single retaining wall, you got to create an HOA. Wanted to avoid doing that, so we kept them separate. With the way the grading works, we kind of tied them back in towards the houses here, as you can see. Thought would be flattened enough of the back area that we were going to slow down the flow enough. After receiving Harbor's review letter and having discussions with Christian, kind of realized that was inadequate. You still have a lot of slope coming through the middle. It's coming, it's collecting everything from the front. It's pretty steep here. It's maxing out at 3 to 1 in some areas. So you still have some decent velocity there. So I'll move to Exhibit A now, A1. And kind of show you how we initially addressed that.
we added a scour hole in the middle there between the two retaining walls, so everything that's coming, again, through the center of the property here, will kind of, it'll hit that scour hole, slow everything down, and protect the neighbor to the rear. We also terraced the retaining walls, so they're offset 4 to 5 feet from the retaining wall here in the rear. So we got 4-foot high max here, then it comes up and you got about a 2.5-foot retaining wall here. A little more, it'll look better for the neighbor in the back. It'll prevent us from having excessively high retaining walls. I think, a 6-foot high retaining wall is not very aesthetically pleasing, so you lower that a little bit. You have a little more the opportunity for landscaping or green area between those two retaining walls in that area. Today, again, spoke with Christian, and I agree with him. The ideal solution, I think, here is to have one retaining wall across the back, or in this case, terraced, but still not having this U shape here where it's coming back and you're creating this channelized section. Again, we wanted to avoid having to deal with an HOA for these. Speaking with Christian, he indicated that there is a way you can basically have a continuous wall with a separation there, so you don't have to have that HOA. So I know you guys are looking for a final design.
So we still...
After speaking with him, as part of resolution compliance, if we were approved, the only change would be to just extend these across and have that gap. So it's 2 separate retaining walls, and you don't have this U shape there.
So you're still going to have 2 walls on each property? It's just going to be straight across property line to property line?
Correct, yeah.
What happens to that grading in the middle?
We'll be able to flatten it out, basically. Because right now, we're getting all the way down to elevation 79, where the scour hole is.
Yeah.
If we have a wall there, we don't have to get down that low. So it'll be very similar to, the grading on either of these properties, which is, once you get down here, you're at 3 to 4%.
So you won't have a scour hole, or you'll have a smaller scour hole further east, up the property line? If you have a wall that goes straight across from left to right, then what do you need the scour hole for?
No, exactly, yeah, we would remove the scour hole. And then, one of the concerns was the velocity of flow. You can level out this area to a nice 3-4%. That'll slow the water down. It'll be vegetated, with grass. That'll slow all that water down going to the rear of the property. We also moved the dry wells to the front, so you have even less, previously we had the dry wells in the back. It was collecting each house, going to the dry wells, detaining it, and then metering it out slowly. So it's still in the 2 and 10 year storm were fully contained. The 100-year storm, a little bit was being let out. We were matching the existing peak runoff. Now that'll be reduced. So the neighboring property in the rear would see less runoff in this situation shown on A1 here. The other changes were made were, Natasha mentioned them, but minor fixing the curb in the front, repaving, no to repave, curb to curb. We did add the street tree that was required. We put it in the middle here to avoid any utility conflicts. There were other minor changes, such as adding cleanouts and valves to the utilities. But again, I think the main thing that the board was concerned with and the engineer was the drainage, and I think that gets solved in this situation. I think I covered all the major changes there.
Christian said that would never happen. No, I went away from it.
Can I ask another question?
I just want you to know, I'm not using my phone, I'm using this as a magnifying glass.
No problem.
Honey, I'll be home in an hour.
So,
Okay, go ahead, Nick, I'm sorry.
and you might have said this already, and I just, again, like the chairman said, the reason to have revised plans up ahead of time is so that we can gather questions as opposed to making questions on the fly. So, having said that, and talking about the new wall, which is going to be the 3rd revision or the 4th revision, after you get rid of the scour hole and you put that wall straight across the back and you collect the roof runoff into the dry wells up front, all that water that's dropping down, going in between the houses and going to the back are just open, free, no collection at all? Everything other than the roof drainage that's going to the dry wells, nothing else is being collected on the property? It's just free flowing off the property line?
That's correct on this plan. But I did speak to Christian again before the meeting. He said he would like to see some sort of collection
In the back?
in the back.
All right, okay.
I will note, and I know you guys, just for the record, right now, the entire site slopes to the back, so it's definitely an improvement. I understand you want it, you know, if there's an opportunity to fix it further, we will.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And I just want to clarify, on the harbor review letter from January 9th, there's a comment that no longer applies to the plans since they were removed. The applicant shall provide testimony on the scour holes and how it will function during larger storms and events in the future, correct?
If we connect the retaining walls, then. So but I know we are giving you guys another revision, but in terms of what you're seeing here, it's pretty minor. It's just, again, eliminating the scour hole and eliminating these small legs here and just coming straight across. So in my opinion, it's relatively minor.
So, did anybody have a question? Okay, so I'm looking at your Exhibit A1. So the top of wall you have at 83 on both sides, right? At where the scour hole is?
Correct.
Okay. And when you had your original mock-up, you had it at 85. So on the left side, you dropped it down by a foot, and on the right side, you dropped it down by a foot and a half. Is that correct about that?
Yes. Yep.
And then you're bringing your scour hole all the way out a little further, and you got that down to 79.
Correct.
Okay, so you said that you didn't want to join the two walls together because you were afraid of a homeowners association? Is that your testimony?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Can I interrupt? We're trying to avoid having an HOA.
Okay.
That's why we kept it separate. But now we've learned that there's a way to have it straight, but still keep it separate. And with that, we would rather do that.
So you've learned that how? Where?
Today, right when we got here, we were talking to Christian.
So, because I have some theory on that as well, so tell me what your theory is.
Just putting a, like they said, a separate but connected retaining wall, putting a either concrete or metal like divider in between, and just having both
Lock it
walls
in.
Lock it in.
So on the property line, the dead center, you could put in a concrete bomb beam or like a piece of steel, an I-beam that went down, and then the two walls go into each one. The I-beam would be permanent, almost as if you could call it a property marker.
Yeah, survey.
A survey marker. And then you could lock the concrete wall into the I-beam. The eye of the I-beam would be the dividing line, and this would just hold it inside that concrete retaining wall. I don't think you would get an HOA resistance, because with the amount of pitch that you have here going in that back, that scour stone is going to be a tremendous amount of water going to the back.
Agreed, yeah.
And you'll be able to, with what the chairman suggested and what Christian suggested, you'd be able to see if there's a problem with one wall on one side and be clear as to who's responsible.
Yeah, because if you tied the two walls in together, right now, all the neighbors are nice, right? The two people that are going to purchase these houses. But one day, they're not going to wait the hot dog was cooked, and they're going to be the Hatfields and the McCoys. So then what happens, these walls now become an issue that would come before us again. So now, if they're together but apart, we've just eliminated that issue.
Okay, I like that. I didn't know that.
You were going to say, Nick?
So either to you or to, which first name again?
Joe.
Jeff, okay, sorry. When you come up with the next revision and you tie these walls together, okay, so you get rid of the wings and you have straight walls going across. And regardless of whether you put a wall up the middle for each property, how does, let's say property owner one and/or two, how do they maintain their property behind the walls? I mean, do they jump down with a lawnmower to the next wall, and they jump down to the back, and then they try to wing or, I don't know, well, how do you get a lawnmower down the stairs? You still gotta maintain the property and stack, right? Like, it's not, I don't know.
Stairs.
But they're not shown on here, though, or are they?
They're not currently, currently access would be kind of through here, if you can see.
Through that swale?
Through there, yeah, through the swale.
Yeah, but how's it gonna be when you put like I said, when you put a wall going from here to there? How do I maintain a property on the side of the wall?
We'll have to add some steps there.
Stairs
In terms of getting lawn equipment down,
I'm just saying, I would think that as in the chairman's scenario, property owners not necessarily getting along, sooner or later, the people behind this property are gonna probably say, hey, that looks like shit over there on this side of the property line. I'm just saying.
What was it going to look like there?
That's a legal term.
That's a legal term, right? Okay.
We would add stairs on the side, so that way they can access the back off the sides.
Again, we're suspect because we don't have everybody.
Well, no, I understand. We just didn't know that could happen, connecting without,
The best way to be.
connected but separate.
Yes,
I didn't know that was a thing.
Here it's
yes,
Mr.
I would
Grimaldi.
recommend stairs. In terms of lawn equipment, there's, I personally have an electric mower that's nice and light. I
Chairman,
could,
Mr.
you know,
Grimaldi has a question.
Again, I'm asking a question because I can't see it. That's all. No, not there. I can't see it here. I can't see it here because it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Robert, why don't you come up closer so we can hear you?
I think you'll hear me.
You do? Go ahead, let me see what happens.
Just to,
Can you speak up, please?
just to clarify, both walls are going to come in a butt, or just the back wall?
Both walls.
Both walls.
Both walls.
Both walls, yes.
So, to the north side of the north property and the south side of the south property, you're still going to be able to walk around the first tier, the lower tier, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, correct. The south,
Or I should say to the right side of the, yes, you can get around the first tier of the wall on both sides of the
that's maybe a little tough, actually, so we'd have to tuck that in.
No, I think he means between the house and the.
Oh,
between. No, between the corner of the house and the retaining wall.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm
The
sorry.
far right side, the far left side.
Yes.
These areas.
Well, the house is in line with the first retaining wall, so you could
You'll
see
be
it
able to
around.
walk in
He's talking
here.
about over here.
We'd have to tuck this in
Yeah,
a
I didn't see
little bit.
No, but right now, there's one,
Oh, yes.
there's one.
Yeah, between the walls. Yes, I'm sorry.
And
Yeah.
over here, you have space between this wall and that wall.
Yeah.
So you could get to that tier. Now, getting to that would be a problem. But these walls are connected.
Yeah, we would only connect them here. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, we would still have the kind of the wings on the side.
And whether you follow the chairman's recommendation of an I-beam or you do a return wall and they just butt, they'll be separate walls, so when the hot dog incident happens. everybody's
That was our main concern, was hot dog related incidents.
With that though, whose tree is it?
Tree is on, that's a good question. It is split down the middle. We could edge it a little bit to,
That's just like the basement on the
Just timing.
Yeah, technically it looks like it's
Yeah, well,
on.
right now, when it's only a 4-inch
Yeah.
caliber tree, it's on the
Yeah.
south.
well, it's actually the town's tree.
It's on
It's in the right of way.
Okay, Joe, we don't blame, so please put it on the property owner's side.
Okay.
I spent a lot of money on kids.
We like trees, we just don't allow it.
Understood.
Thank you.
And pick one of the houses.
Sure, yeah, no problem. Yeah.
That was bad,
Another question,
Go ahead, Mr. Grimaldi.
the retaining in the stormwater collection in the front, is that connected to the storm lines in the street? Or is it just perking in the
No, we have
property?
perking up, we have a grate proposed.
There is no stormwater.
Up there?
Up there.
That's all, okay.
Yeah, where you're kind of in an elevated spot, so in large storm events, it'll perk up through the grate.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone from the board have any other questions for Mr. Bocci?
Yeah.
Mr. Hidalgo?
With your calculations for runoff, how much runoff was reduced by giving us these tiered walls? I noticed that you're still at an 8% slope, so many feet, 12% slope, so many feet, and then you flattened it out to 3%. Did you calculate in the watershed, how much did you actually reduce runoff coming off that property? Did you reduce it at all, or is it just the same amount of runoff just slowed down?
Same amount slowed down.
So same amount as last time, it's still coming off, it's going to tear down onto these constructed retaining walls. Are they going to be designed like base block, keystone block? They're not going to be Decador Home Depot blocks, these are going to be designed blocks
Yes.
that are going to hold, so.
And let me clarify, sorry, just because the total runoff of the site wouldn't change, but we did direct, the dry wells are in the front now. Before they were, in the 100-year storm event, they were
Absolutely.
leadering it out.
But it backflow, because water goes that way, and the natural progression of that water is to pool up on the street, and it's going to backflow back into the property. The water's running downhill. If you could make water run uphill, I would think it up, but it's not going to happen.
Mr. Duke, is the question by putting these two houses on this lot and doing what they're, on these lots, by doing what they're doing, would the volume of water increase or decrease, or would the pressure of water or the amount of water go down as well?
The basic premise of my question is you engineered something. How did you improve it for the residents? Because the thing is water, the same amount of water in the same storm that you calculate is still going to come down onto somebody else's property. Now, if it's going slower, a small storm event, 25 years, you get a 100-year flood, that still is going to tear us down. We don't have any process for holding it other than putting it on the catch basin, which you said are going to percolate anyway. So what type of soil is this? What are you going to use? I mean, it's still going to percolate, come up, and go back down again.
Well, the driveways are pitched towards 21st Street, though.
Right.
Just going back to drywall, so the houses are being collected, going to the drywall. Anything that comes up is going to run down the driveway to 21st
So
Street.
across the street, the huge house that's right in front of it, all that water is coming towards your houses right there. My concern is your solution presents itself great for this property in itself. I don't know how it's improving, and my question is, how is it improving for everybody else, i.e. the neighbor behind, the neighbor next door? Water is not just going to go straight, it's going to meander, it's going to go across. You're creating terraces now. That's going to create pooling, that's going to create certain type of things, because the soil's not going to stay flat. So what's going to happen is there's still going to be a certain amount of water that's going to be collecting down here.
Where, down where, Tony? What are you saying?
The west side of the property, which would be the neighbor behind.
Okay.
Water is still going that way, no matter how we slice it.
Yeah, I
Can't
don't...
prevent that. That's
Of course,
the way the water's going. My question is what is your solution to hold some of that water, which you're not, because you don't have any intention, or are you holding some of that water on this property? Are you saying 50% is going to be held and trickled out in the front? I mean, when you size these, you did your drainage calcs and you size these, what did you calculate the hole for?
So I ran it through HydroCAD.
Okay.
And it basically, so these, in the 100-year storm event, you got 0.08 CFS. And again, that's coming out the front, though. I don't honestly recall offhand what was going to the rear, but with these in the rear...
I'm going to say it's probably a lot, but okay, yeah, the rear.
Yeah, but according to my calculation, when these were in the rear and they were still a little bit trickling out, I was matching the existing conditions. So I think with bringing them to the front, I'm now reducing compared to what's there.
Okay. Your professional opinion, you're reducing it. That's, I mean,
Yeah, we're reducing the amount of the peak runoff to the neighborhood.
My concern is like, again, we have a huge rainfall, and unfortunately, in that area, we have frequent rainstorms where the next street is completely flooded. And that's a direct result of that huge slope, the water just comes down. And once it starts running, there's not much holding that back, like huge rainstorms. More buildings create less chances for percolation in the soil, slowing down the soil. So now you're creating more of a problem.
I think when, again, if you look at the topography that's there, if we do keep these walls and have a much flatter,
It's a
have a
steep
terrace.
slope, it's a steep slope right now.
Yeah, so we're reducing, that's going to be shallower, because that's going to slow it down
Okay.
itself, just the
All right.
terraces and.
Your solution with the terrace. You're using Mesa, what type of block are you using, Mesa? What was the plan?
Yeah, what do we? This is small. We have, like Mason.
Engineer.
Yes.
Question.
Go ahead, Mr. Grimaldi.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Mr. Grimaldi, you're gonna have to come up closer, because I can't see you.
I'll be here. First of all, I did review the original drawings, and I think it's a great idea moving this, the retention that you've moved to the front. And it's just a particular site that has a great slope right now. And I don't know if this is our purvey or not, but I'm sure the person in the back probably having water today, but I don't know that. I would imagine they're having a water issue today. I think bringing and connecting the whole house and draining it out the front is a great change from the previous, but even taking Mr. DeLuca's statements about the water in the back, that it's still there when we have those nice half-hour bursts of rain that we get now. Maybe on that first tier, individually on each side, we have another catch basin there, so that we have another form to hold it before it goes down those hills. And now, hopefully the last comment, just check with, and make sure your client understands. I don't know it off the top of my head, but a retaining wall of such height, do you need a guardrail around it? Because now this is going to be something that may impact the look of the backyard, the saleability of it, so that's just something you may want to think about in your final design as a retaining wall. I think it's 3 feet, but I can't swear to that. Yeah, I'm not sure, but check that, because
I knew this an hour ago, too.
that may detract.
I was looking at this before the meeting. It's around 3 or 4 feet.
Hopefully it's 4.
Yeah, well, we did kind of discuss that internally in our office. One solution would be, so this first wall is 2.5 feet. We don't need wall protection there. We could put a row of arborvitaes or something to prevent access to this wall. And I'll have to check, that might be for any safety measures. It's inaccessible, basically, arborvitaes in this area where it is 4 feet, kind of breaks up it makes it so you can't stand right next to that 4-foot high wall.
And actually, the other reason why I was suggesting the additional retainage on the first tier rather than the back tier, we have that in a couple of locations in town, and then it goes back to the hot dog incident, because this neighbor's saying that neighbor's not cleaning it out, and my backyard's getting flooded because he didn't clean out the catch basin. So if it's purely on his property, you can't have the cross complaints.
Right.
Joe?
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Nick.
I'm going to go on a limb and say that you have a typo on the lower left corner, probably of that drawing. On the dry well on the left side, your excavation, unless you're going to do it that way, I don't know why it's 11 feet deep.
12.
No, it should probably be 89.15 instead of 79.15. It says the bottom of the dry well is 90.15, and the bottom of the excavation should probably be.
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
But I looked at the other ones, the ones that you had provided, and it looked like the note was just transferred. So when it was in the back, it was 79. So
That was me missing my drafters.
it's okay.
Not to blame the drafter.
No,
I
that's
should have
all right.
thought that.
No problem.
Good eye, Nick. I have a question for you. You have your first retaining wall closest to the house. Before you get to the second retaining wall, that's 5 feet away. Am I correct?
Base to face, 5 base of this wall to the face of the lower walls is 5. Yeah, so it's 4 feet from the back of the wall.
From the back of the wall.
Yeah.
So after that wall, I think it says 6 feet there, right? In that white space?
9.
9 feet.
9
feet.
Yeah, correct.
I'm trying. So you got 9 feet, and that's where your scour drain was in the beginning. That line, from where it says 50, right there at that black line, what is below that? How many feet is below that? Do you know what I'm saying?
50 here?
Either side, 50, you got 50. So where it says 50, the line, the property line, what is the drop below that? What is there?
On the neighboring property?
Yeah,
We weren't able to access their property up for turbo.
give or take.
I went out there myself, it's relatively flat out there,
Okay.
in the neighbor's property. I would say it's still pitching towards the, whatever street's parallel there. It's
Okay.
20th or 20th, yeah.
So that's flat.
Yeah, relatively, yeah.
So there's a 4-foot, basically a 4-foot drop off the top of the furthest wall.
Correct.
And I guess you were worried about drainage, Mr. Grimaldi, in the back there?
Well, I was worried more so, like Mr. DeLuca was talking, the volume of the water coming from the whole property down there. That's why my suggestion, just a suggestion, not engineered, but to put the additional catch on the top tier, so you're catching everything from the front, and as he said, from the street coming across, you're catching that there. This second tier and the back tier, well, you're only talking about 15 feet of ground. But if you catch the water from the other 85 feet from the front curb back, that's a lot more water to catch. That last 15 feet will take care of itself.
And you're talking about on each property? So
On each
sort of a
property.
Catch
Yeah.
catch on each property, yeah.
No sharing anything.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking on the back of that wall where that 9 feet is, what if you put in 2.5-inch stone or the goose egg stone, act as a channel, that water will retain itself. You don't have to worry about putting steps and maintaining it anymore, because once the rocks are in there, you could probably get that for up to 3 feet. It'll be nice and high, excavate it out, put a drainage pit, not a drainage pit, a drainage stone with a Marafi cloth, 140 yen or something like that, put the goose eggs right in there. Your problems really go away. You'll have water seeping all around.
I agree.
Mr. Grimaldi?
Sorry, that was our client.
Oh, I thought Mr. Grimaldi says I agree. So, man, I feel like Soto, I just hit one out of the park.
I think that's a good idea. As you heard.
Did you follow me, Mr. David?
You guys are talking like above my head with this drainage stuff. I'm more concerned about the 2 homes.
Yeah, it's way over my head too.
But Chairman, the only
It's
thing,
an engineering solution, that's a solution.
Chairman, the
Yes.
only thing, I would say yours and mine.
Yeah, they both work.
Well, no, have both of them, not either or.
No, I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
Because that is.
Then you're
that-
correct.
It does, look, I could only imagine, swimming in dark water in that pool in the backyard, and it's got to be a way that we could try to correct it. If we're going to make this happen, we
And
got
try
to
to
do everything we
keep
can. Excuse me?
Try to keep peace
Yeah.
between the neighbors.
Are you following?
Yeah, like I said, I leave the
Details.
The detail. My concern is obviously the neighbors and how the runoff is going to affect them, that they not get flooded out. I leave the details up to you professionals who understand how to best mitigate those issues. So if the board members who know this stuff are comfortable with the solution, then I'm comfortable with the solution.
Do you have anything to say about what Mr. Grimaldi and I'm saying about the stone?
No, I agree. I think because of the unique layout of the site, you should probably have as many fail-safes as you could possibly put on here.
We're damming it, and damming it. And before it gets down to the pool,
Yeah.
it'll probably start to go down. I think it makes sense.
Yep. And you still have runoff going off the whole 100 feet of width of the site
Yeah.
instead of this narrow channel.
Right. And that can be graded as such, though it does that. It automatically works. So the ground becomes perfect.
I'm not an engineer.
Yes.
Sounds like more.
It works.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, Kevin found that no guardrails required.
Fall protection.
They're not according to our ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
I think it will be a moot point once we got the goose eggs back there, because it's going to raise that elevation up even higher by virtue of those stones going in. You're probably going to have a 24-inch height wall at the back if you put enough down.
Just wanted to put that on record, though.
Okay. But it's got to be enough of stone. You can't just cut, not just cover it. You got to,
He could provide I would recommend providing a detail of what the wall and the stone would look like.
Yeah.
And just to show, along with the filter fabric, just so that whoever's constructing it knows exactly what they have to do.
that's an easy fix.
So just to summarize everything that's been discussed and to clarify, we're conjoining the wall, making it separate but connected, and then we're gonna add, if you were okay with adding the additional dry well on each property and the goose eggs, as you said.
Goose eggs, the decorative river rock?
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
won't be offensive to the neighbor, but they look pretty, and at the
Yeah.
same time, they're serving as a channel. Sometimes we'll use that in a culvert or something like that.
I just wanted to clarify,
But that's going to be a trench drain, essentially. So it's
At
going
that point.
to, it's going to have stone below it, so you have some additional perk in there. Is that the concept that we're?
Like a riprap.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Actually, Chairman, the township just did this on the connection between Tulip Court and whatever the street is behind it.
Yeah.
We built a new sidewalk. The town built a new sidewalk, and alongside of it, because the properties are relatively flat and the street flows into that sidewalk, they built about a 30-inch wide area filled with the goose eggs to convey the water to the back street. So
Yeah.
it's something that the town is already familiar with.
Good. I feel much better with that than what we looked at when they came in.
Now, Lou just has a whole list to write down.
Well, I have a question. What I have so far is similar to what everyone's been discussing. The two rear walls will be singular.
But
In the middle, on the property line, we'll have concrete metal. So it would differentiate the property ownership of the walls.
Just delete.
Scour holes will be removed.
In the back.
Yeah.
Will be removed. Water collection at the rear of each lot, and similar to Greg, I will leave the details up to Christian.
The engineer and
Yeah.
Mr. Bocci.
How about, we discussed possibility of stairs, or is that no longer?
I don't think you need them anymore.
Yeah, if you're doing the gravel, there's
Yeah.
no,
I mean, there's no reason
I
to
guess
get back.
unless our client maybe would want stairs.
If you want to put them in, it's not going to hurt, but
I think it's important. I think it's important to have some access back there,
you have to have
even if it's alongside.
Yeah, I think around the side.
We don't need to make that a condition.
Right, that's
should
kind of
be.
what I was getting at, is
And the return walls will be eliminated.
in the center.
Right, in the center.
In the center one.
All right, that's all I have on this.
So, Mr. Chairman, the other thing, so if we're done with the drainage component, one of the things that the board and I in particular are always interested in is the actual homes being built on the property. In the original plan, there were plans of the type of home that they were going to build. I don't know, is anybody going to speak to that? We have I don't
We're having a side door out there, a little bit. Natasha, we're getting Mr. David was saying that, okay, we understand the drainage now, we have a list of things that this could probably work. The tree is going to move on one property or the other, we get that. We need some information. Is there somebody here to give us testimony on the style of house, what you're going to do, how that's going to go up? Because we have some, I don't know if Yeah, they are ordinances of two houses can't look alike or something like
Right,
that.
no cookie cutter houses next
So
to each other.
we need to know what's next. First of all, is all the board members okay with the drainage as it sits now?
Well, we have to see the final.
No, in detail,
I
Christian,
look at the solution.
Yeah.
we're gonna have to see the final.
So, Chairman, on that topic, does the board want to see the final, or are you going to leave it in the hands of your staff?
Listen, I shouldn't say listen, that's not nice. I know this pretty well, you know, I do this for a living. I know what that's going to look like, I know what the detail has to look like. I would trust that, for my board members, I would trust that if the engineer is perfectly capable of taking a look at this, and as the admission of even some of the board members don't know what we're talking about at this point, it's basically a big scour pit in essence. It's just a big bunch of rocks that look pretty on those two beds. So if you're not going to do it in landscaping with brush and low bushes, you're doing it with rocks to stop the water. I mean, for me, I don't see why we would have to do that. That's repetitious over and over and over again.
I think as long as it's in the transcription and...
The resolution.
In the resolution, excuse me, right, in the resolution that Mr. Reagan's going to put up, that our professionals are more than capable of doing resolution compliance, which they do anyway. And this is just other details that, otherwise it's going to have to come back. You're going to have to do another hearing.
Okay. I think it makes sense. You got to supply a detail, let the engineer look at it.
It's not the first time that we left it in the hands of our professionals.
Okay. So now are we good?
Yep.
You good? Okay.
Talking about the houses, the...
Now we're going to talk about...
Elevations, give me elevations.
So, was elevations not submitted for the original application?
In the original plans,
Yeah.
there were some, but I just wonder if anybody was going to provide any testimony or anything else.
No. However, we would make sure that they look independent on their own and not identical and comply with the ordinance.
Is your architect here, Benjamin?
David, you may want to look at the plans and see if they satisfy you for the different cases.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they just reversed
Yeah.
the porches and the garages, so I guess,
Mirror images.
yeah.
You want a different color, different facade?
Well, I mean, that, to me, yes, they should be differentiated.
We're willing to take your comments and make those changes. It's just, we would do whatever change that you think would be necessary to make sure that they don't look identical.
Just do me a favor, just give me 1 minute. I want to go into the architectural. Oh, you've got them up? Let's look together.
You guys have it?
So, what do you have there? Is that the one on the left? And this is the one on the right?
Yes, this is the one. Driveways are in the center.
Basically, mirrored.
They're just mirrored.
Same thing.
But it's the same house. And that's what we don't want. Okay. So Natasha,
Yes.
I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking basically what we're looking at here. And this is why sometimes it's very important to have an architect here. You have exactly the same house as a mirror. Gentlemen, please. Because this is being recorded, and if we have to play it back, there'll be something, okay? Thank you. So you have exactly the same house, but it's just a mirror image, and that's against what we have in our ordinance, that you have two identical...
Too similar.
Yeah, it's too similar. And that has to be changed,
No problem.
okay? So, you know... You know what we have to do with that, right?
You have to see.
Yeah. So Natasha, you hit one out of the park here with us going to the engineer and that, but with two similar houses, we can't leave that in the engineer's hands.
No, I understand. We would, in resolution compliance, if that's all right, submit revised architectural renderings that are not similar, that make them look independent, not.
I don't think that's going to fly with the board.
I want to see it before I vote.
They're going to want to see it before they vote because it's happened more than one time in good faith, not that you would not do that, but, or whatever I just tried to say, I think you got it. The thing is that we have something in place that we have to abide by with that, and if we don't see it, then we're signing off on nothing. The detail is one thing for the drainage, that's simple. But this, if you just moved that little piece over to the right and said, well, I made it different, then we would take issue with that, but the board has to see it.
I hate to say it, but you started off the meeting with, this is what we typically do.
Yeah.
We don't accept revisions so close to the meeting. I mean, we really try to help, I'm just saying, but as you get through it, how many changes?
It's nice looking house.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm
kind
just
of,
saying, it's just-
it's unfortunate that we didn't get to this part of the
Meeting
hearing
last
and the meeting the last time, so that it all could have been done tonight.
And with
but
that
for
being
whatever
said,
reason-
I would also say, if I may, if you're going to do the detail, we might as well see it that night too.
Right.
Right, just
yeah,
carry it.
Do everything.
And Christian's and the comments on drainage at the same time.
Yeah, so the Exhibit A should get onto another plan with the detail of the drainage and another look at a different style home.
Exhibit A is gonna change because you're gonna change the walls.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, then we'll have A2.
well,
Anything else?
I'm sorry?
Anything else? That way we don't.
Oh, yeah. Did we want to just look through this real quick? Is there anything else that the board wants other than, Natasha, let me say this. I'm sorry you keep running away. Let me say this to you. A minor subdivision shouldn't be this difficult. This is cut and dry. You got 100 by 100, you're going to split it down the middle and we're going to go away. But we have drainage issues. Now we have house issues.
That's why when we originally came before the board, we didn't have our architect because we didn't think, Steve was like, no need for it, it's very simple, plain simple, so that's why we never addressed those issues. So,
Those issues must be addressed before this board, and the engineers and the planner can't take care of that.
You want the architect at the next meeting to describe the houses? Should be.
I mean, the architect should be here with you, just to run down what he's doing, how many rooms, what does it look like, north side, south side, where's the water gonna go, what it looks like, and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe a colorized, some sort of colorized houses next to each other.
And Chairman, this was addressed in our memo of December.
It was addressed?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I put on record that we will comply with whatever the ordinance requires. If it needs to be different, that we would do it differently. But since drainage was the main concern at the last meeting, we just focused on the drainage for this meeting, since that was like the main concern.
Okay.
So our next meeting would be February 13th. That's our next regular meeting. So we would carry this hearing to then, correct?
Yes, they don't have to notice, right?
No, we carry, is that enough time for?
I would have to contact the architect. I assume that should be fine.
To avoid further notice, we want to carry it to a
You
date
will have
specific.
Steve that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, date specific.
You will have Steve that night. Yeah.
Natasha, given the length of what's going on here, this is a pretty easy fix for the architect.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, he'll probably pull something out of the bin and get it going.
Another meeting.
You know.
And we would, some of the board members all would want to see what you're going to do a few days ahead of time.
Oh, we could make sure we
get.
comply with the 10 days prior to the hearing. And then we're
So we avoid you coming back.
Yeah.
You're talking about one house change. The
Yeah.
other one stays the same. The dog stays there.
That's fine.
If they wanted to.
They could change, but yeah, just changing one.
Yeah.
That works.
Mr. Grimaldi?
Just one last thing, just so that we don't have to bring something back up again, and I didn't see the original architecture plans. Are there rooms indicated in here? Because remember, this is a walkout lower level. So
They are.
Okay, so you just want to make sure what's a bedroom, what's not a bedroom?
They are.
Again, this is a walkout lower level, not really a basement.
They could be confused.
Is there anything else for us, Natasha? Mr. Planner?
Thank you, Chair. The calendar works best when Christian and I have our stuff 2 weeks out, that way you get your reports a week out. If we have it by the 30th of January, that would keep us on that calendar. That gives you 2 weeks. Is that enough time?
That should be. It should be. My concern is his revised, because if we're doing revised plans, you guys want to probably see, like, we discussed the changes to the drainage. So,
He would have, if this issue didn't come up, he would have had to have them anyway.
Yeah.
Here's what we will do. We'll give you, if the board accepts, a little bit of latitude, that if we didn't see the drainage on the same night that Kevin just said, and it took you a little bit longer, that's an easy part of the puzzle if you needed more time to design and get that drainage in, because then we can look at that.
Compliance, but the architectural stuff and everything else should be on the plans.
Yeah.
Okay. Come back.
Carry it to the 13th, and without further notice, and if they can't make it, then we'll...
Then just put it all on the plan and carry it to, so our meeting is February 13th?
February 13th.
So you have to have the plan in to Kevin by the 30th, yes, sir?
Let's give a little leeway. We'll live with 10 days. We'll live with the 10 days, because we're only dealing with revisions, which will be the 3rd of February.
Okay.
Gives them a few more days.
So now you have more time too, Mr. Bacci. Jumping Joe Valachi. So you have more time. I think you could get it all together. You got till February 3rd to get him the information. We'll have a little bit less time to vet it. It's not a big deal. We look at two things.
To us and to the board.
Drainage
To us and to the board.
Yes, I told him, yes, the 31st to get it to me, for me to get it to you guys on the 3rd.
It's doable.
Yeah.
And if you can have your architect here.
Let's do color versions.
No, no problem.
Both the architecturals and the engineering. We have some great talent on this board. Among them are architects and engineers. We have other great talent who are not architects and engineers. So maybe we can colorize it for them. That way they'll know.
You guys are wrong.
Thank you so much.
Well, on the business.
And just so we can get this out of the way now, if we can open for public comments now, if possible, or would you want to wait until the architectural?
Well, one of the public members, who's a property owner, just left because she heard that it's being carried to the 13th, so I don't think we can do it.
We would want to do it at the end.
Yeah. Okay. So is everybody satisfied with this?
Yes.
Okay. Can we go with, is there a motion to carry this meeting to February 13th?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Mazzio. All in favor?
Aye.
No further notice, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Or soon
Thank you very much, Natasha, Mr. Okay, moving on. Comments for the good of the board, anyone? Seeing none. Is there a motion to open a meeting to the public?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Davis, second by Mr. Mazzio. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak? No?
Seeing no one, I make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Closed by Mr. David, second by Mr. DeLuca. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion
I
to
would make a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Adjourned by Mr. Davis, second by Mr. Mantino. All in favor?
Aye.